Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Dahlia and today we are back on Capri Sun, my coastal beach city, working on another build. Now today, I know obviously I'm recording this after I'm done, but I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea what we were working on for today. All I knew is I had to build a huge chunk of my island because I'm trying to finish this island. Like, I'm not lying when I say that we are so close to being finished. So today we're working on a very big area, so I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you do, all that YouTube stuff. And yeah, let's head over to the area we're gonna be decorating, because we have a lot to do. This is the general area we'll be working on. We're actually going to be working on much more than this, but this is what I thought we were working on when I started the video.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Like, this video is essentially the definition of trying to finish my island, because we really only have like this section, and then the bottom left hand corner of my map, and then a little bit going up, and then like, that's basically it. There's not a lot left to do. Like, I have 2 island homes to finish, my beaches, and I have to decorate my house.
Try being an influencer for a day. I literally just finished work and it's 5:19.
So I'm hoping in the next week I can finish all of that. That is my plan. I'm hoping to have a new island started by next week, which I'm very excited for. If you know me, you know basically there's like one island theme I've always really wanted to do. And I've been mentioning in the last previous videos that I really want to do a fall island, which is going to be the time of year that the next island is set. But I've always wanted to do this one particular type of theme set in fall, and I'm finally going to do it because why not? So that is something to look forward to. I'm not going to release the theme until I reset, but I'm very excited. But anyway, yeah, we're working on this area here. Basically, I always start with my entrances for all of my islands. It's always the first thing I build. So this is just building off the first video build I ever did on this island, which is my entrance. It was like a really fun boat dock area that inspired me doing a coastal island, and it's just been a really fun island to make. But now we have to continue this build. So this is also directly next to my river mouth, so I'm not using any water terraforming on this island, so I'm actually completely hiding this river mouth with a giant building. So what I'm doing here is essentially, like, you know, like on the water sometimes you see these really big buildings that are kind of placed on top of docks, and they're usually just like kind of boat storage, kind of like basically like giant garages for boats. This is essentially what this is. Essentially what it is. I didn't actually think exactly what this was going to be when I started building it, but I'm like, you know what? I already have fake buildings at my entrance. Let's just continue the trend of the fake building and build another fake building. And this is literally nothing except storefronts, and I do include some plant partitions just to add some greenery, but this is literally it. This is nothing exciting or fun. It is just a giant fake building, which honestly works perfectly. It works great within the space. And yeah, I don't decorate the beach below here today. This is where Audie's house is. I'm not sure if it's going to stay here. Part of me is thinking that it might, just because I kind of like it placed there. And obviously, as you can see, I have the dock leading down to that beach, so we might be moving some of the palm trees that are placed there, but I will be probably leaving Audie's house, if not on this beach, then on one of the beaches, just because I want her house to have a beach build, which I've mentioned about once or twice in previous videos. So I'm essentially finished this section of the build. This, I kind of knew what I wanted to do going into it. I knew I wanted to continue the boat dock area that I had already previously worked on and just kind of finish it up. And this is what we're ending up with. And then at this point, I'm like, Okay, now what are we working on? Now what are we working on? Because this looks great. This to me is a perfect endpoint. To me, honestly, this should have been a part of the build at the very beginning. This should have been like the conclusion of my entrance build, but I always just work on the entrance from where you can see.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Like I never continue on from like, oh, we have to continue on this area and I need to make it big, because entrances are really just like kind of me experimenting with the island theme, especially considering it's me decorating for the first time. But yeah, I'm at this point where I'm just trying to finish this section and be like, okay, let's just put this stuff here, and then now what are we gonna do? Now, what are we going to focus on? This is a really great build. I'm really happy with it, but what are we going to do next? Now, one thing I did want to include on this island is kind of like a really nice boardwalk in like on a second tier overlooking overlooking something. I do have one or two areas that kind of look like that, but I thought it'd be fun to throw one down here because why not? So that's essentially what this is. This is kind of like a walkway that is going to lead into the second portion of this build, which is the biggest portion of the build, which is also why this video is as long as it is. You guys also said you like longer speed builds, so today obviously, as you can tell, is a speed build, but it is a larger build because I'm essentially building two sections, because like I said, I'm trying to build up this island as much as I can. And so that's what I'm doing here. So I place an incline. This is my second last incline for the island, and I actually end up using my last incline in this video as well. And I'm just building up and up and up. And I hate doing this. Like, I hate being that person that continues to just build more and more and more. Because then I get overwhelmed, and then I'm like, okay, but what am I doing with this? This is also why it took me, I think, 3 days to make this build. That's why I also placed this ramp here and then hated it. So I had to immediately shut my game. Like, look at the little smile on my character's face. Like, no. You closed the game and then you reloaded it and prayed that the ramp was not there. And it wasn't. It was still in your pocket. So then you placed it here instead. And it looks really good here. Now, the reason I ended up placing it here instead of the, like, horizontal way I had it before is because we're decorating this area now too. Now I could have left obviously the incline there, like it's not as if it's that big of a deal to leave it there instead of placing it vertically or horizontally instead of vertically, but honestly I just didn't like the way that it looks. So this is me, like I said, not struggling to finish my island. I have so many ideas that I still want to use for a coastal island. And once again, I have run out of room. There's a couple of shops that I would have loved to have created, and a couple of more smaller builds I would have loved to have created, but we're out of space again. We're out of space again, which is fine. It's my own fault, once again, for not planning out my island. So at the end of the day, you're just gonna have to do what you have to do. Basically, the lesson you should learn from me: plan out your islands.
Phoebe? What? Do you have a plan? I don't even have a plan.
At least plan out like the general layout, but I don't even do that. I don't even do that. It's too much. I'm a pantser when it comes to my builds, which if you didn't know what that term is, it's like for people who are like authors. Pantsers are kind of people who like just make up the plot as they go along. That's me, but with my islands. Anyway, I'm working on this area. What do you even call this area? Like the walkway. And it's really, really cute. I kept it very simple, obviously, with just some plan partitions to kind of match the plan partitions I have for the fake building that we did. And then I'm going to put some shrubs in between. I wasn't sure if I was going to do shrubs, but I felt like it was nice to kind of mix it up. And the thing with the plant partitions is that the colors of the leaves are a little bit paler, so I wanted to bring a little bit of color back with like the brighter green of the shrubs. So I used the white plumera bushes again. And yeah, and then this is the point where I'm like, okay, what do I do for this build?
Now what?
Now, one thing I definitely knew I wanted to do on this island is to create a couple of fake beaches. I've already done I think at least two. One being the hermit crab beach I made in my last video, which if you haven't watched that video yet, go and check it out. Go watch that video. It is such a fun build. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and if you haven't seen it yet, it's linked in the top of the card. Go watch it. I promise you, it's a fun time. But because I wanted to do more beaches, and because we are coming up towards the end of the island, I figured now was as good a time as any to make one more fake beach. And I did want to include a volleyball court on one of my beaches and kind of just have it be like one of the public beaches on the island that are kind of like towards the front. I'm not saying that I'm avoiding working on my actual beaches by building all of these fake beaches.
Sure, Jan.
But as I'm saying it out loud, that's probably what it looks like. I promise it's not. I promise it's not. I just like making fake beaches. And what's really good about this is I'm like, I was thinking to myself, how can I possibly tie the fake water into this build? But there's fake water on the other side of this building. So it can really just look like the building is floating on a giant like deck of some kind. And then on the other side, there's another beach. And then this beach, I'm going to, as opposed to having the shore end at the top or at the bottom of the beach, it's going to be ending on the left side. So it all comes together.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
I'm very, very pleased with the fact that the water, fake water pathing worked out this way. Because a part of me was thinking, oh, I'm just going to have to throw like random pieces of water pathing and just hope that it all like kind of comes together. But no, this is perfect. It's kind of like when I did my boat dock area for Easy and Bones's houses. I was so afraid that it was not going to work out, but then because it was to like the top left corner of where my house is, where there's fake water terraforming or fake water pathing, I was able to incorporate them all together, and it worked out. It worked out. It was like a happy coincidence.
It's all working out.
So it's one of those situations where like I'm grateful that it worked out, and thank God it worked out, and yeah, it worked out. It worked out. Anyway, I'm finished the water pathing, and now I'm placing the fence item to cut off the cliff. A part of me was like, oh, put the symbol panel designs that I have, but it was one tile. I wasn't moving the storefronts that I already placed down for the fake building. Everything just worked out perfectly well in terms of dimensions, and I was about to start messing with it, so we leave it as is. So now I'm placing some palm trees before I move on to adding more sand pathing, because of course, like I said, I keep building on to this build. This build was not difficult. It actually turned out really great, but it was really just like a lot of, oh, I'm doing this, okay, and then 2 seconds later, oh, I'm doing that as well, oh, okay, we'll just keep adding on until I'm pleased with the size of this gigantic build, which it's very big. It is a very big build. You'll actually see at the end of the video, I have to go back to the entrance because I forgot that I had worked on that area, and I had to finish it. Like, here I am connecting this build to this boardwalk, and I'm making sure that the lines are properly connected so that when I go to work on this final spot in my next video, which I'm assuming will be, because it's the last area other than my beaches I have to work on, that everything lines up perfectly. Because if it doesn't, I would panic. Like, I'd figure it out, but I'd panic a little bit, you know? Like, I'd panic a little bit. If you guys saw my previous videos for this island, I have been creating this boardwalk that expands along the entirety of the left and the right side of my island. So I will be finishing off this build with this area here after I work on a little bit more of the beach. But if you're wondering what this boardwalk looking area is, I'm placing that white kind of boardwalk looking white deck to be like a boardwalk, and I have the same thing on my right side of my island going all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. So we're doing the same thing on the other side, because why not have it match? Why not have it match? This island is a kind of a mixed match of like very clean areas that look very like put together, and then more natural areas like this beach. So I do have the boardwalk. The boardwalk is literally nothing fancy, but it's cute. I might do a boardwalk using that white tile on my beach, because I think doing like a very small one could look really good with that white plank pathing, but I'm not entirely sure yet, so I might. As I've been kind of rambling, which thank you by the way for you guys saying you like my chatty videos. It's literally just 15 minutes of me yapping, which someone mentioned in the last video that I'm just a yapper. It's true, I am. But as I've been yapping, we've been decorating the beach, and if you're ever like intimidated about decorating fake beaches, don't be. It is the easiest thing in the world. You need wheat fields, you need rocks, you need a fake water path, and palm trees. And obviously you can add more things to it, but these 3 items alone, the wheat fields and the palm trees and the rocks, they do 90% of the work, because it's like, it looks so natural. This is if you want something a little bit more like oh, how do I describe it? Like you can see the vibe of the beach. Like it's not meant to be like a very like clean beach. It's meant to look very, very natural, and like people visit here, but at the same time there's a lot of overgrown grass, and it's like, you know, you get the vibe. You get the vibe. And it just looks really good. I always recommend also using different sizes for the palm trees too. It looks a little bit more natural, which as you're trying to create these fake beach areas to make them look as natural as possible, it is a very good way to kind of, you know, make them look a little bit more natural, if that makes any sense. So I placed the volleyball court, as you guys saw. I kept it really simple. Didn't even use like a custom design for like the volleyball lines. I have in the past used some custom designs for like the lines of the volleyball court, but because I'm completely out of custom design codes, we're just putting the volleyball court as is, with a couple of balls, and it's really not much to it. It's very simple. I feel like this build itself is quite simple with the amount of items I used. It's just pretty time consuming because you have to place all the codes down and everything, but very, very pleased with how it's coming together, especially considering I did not know what I was gonna do. I feel like I say that in all of my videos, but it's nice to have videos come together when you weren't quite sure how the build was even gonna look like when you press record. Anyway, now I'm placing some decoy ducks and just finishing off the water pathing, as this is probably one of the last few times I'll be using the water pathing. I wanted to make sure it looked nice, and then we're putting some of our seashells. Another great way of incorporating more of a natural element to your fake beaches is doing some summer shells or regular shells and some seaweed, because the seaweed is a great placer. You can step on top of it, but it takes up space, which is very, very nice, and just spreading it everywhere. Like really, it's just one of those items you can kind of just throw wherever you want and you're good to go. Below here, as you guys can see, it's my nook's cranny. I will most likely be doing kind of like a surf shop slash like convenience shop style build for that. If you guys saw the entrance video for my other coastal island that I never finished, I wanted to incorporate my nook's cranny into that, and I went like on a tangent about how you can't place sand pathing around the nook's cranny, which is why I decided this time place it on the beach. And by placing it on the beach, there's sand pathing directly under it, and it just looks really nice because I've never decorated my nook's cranny in the smaller building. So finally, we're gonna do that. One time I was going to, if you guys remember my Jungle City island, which is still to this day probably one of my favorite islands I've ever done. It was so much fun. I wanted to do a small nook's cranny build for that because it worked perfectly for the theme, and then it accidentally upgraded. So I've been very, very, very mindful about time traveling.
Very demure, very mindful.
Because I time travel a ton in order to build my islands. By the way, this is O'Hare. He's the last villager that we're going to be adding to this island. I only have 9 instead of 10, but I don't want to add another villager. If that changes, you guys will obviously see it. But O'Hare and Audie are my last 2 villagers to decorate their houses for this island. But yeah, O'Hare is a perfect like summer villager. If you ever seen his house, it's literally like a beach, and I love it, and I'm glad to have him. Anyways, yeah, I was complaining about Nook's Cranny. What am I even talking about? Like, what am I even talking about? We're working on the boardwalk now. That's it. I don't even know why do you guys like listening to me talk. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why you guys like listening to me talk for 15 or 20 minutes. This is a longer chatty video, as I mentioned previously. You are welcome, because oh my gosh, sometimes I just like, I want to talk, but I just ramble and it sounds so dumb, and then editing me has to go back and listen to it, and it's physically painful.
It hurts me. It physically hurts me.
Sometimes to hear what I'm talking about, but I want to talk about more than just the build. Like, I want to talk about the build, but I want to be like, this is the build, and then explain further than just being like, I put this item here and then I put this item there, you know. But sometimes my brain doesn't compute with that, and then it's just like a rambly mess. But anyways, to complete the boardwalk, I wanted to include some drink machines and just some like things you'd find like towards the parking lot of a beach, you know, like where there's like concession and like small areas where people can like buy drinks and just like small things. At the top of this build where like the boardwalk is going to meet, I'm going to be putting a parking lot, because I do finish off a build in that area, so I want to finish off the road by putting a parking lot, because I need to finish off the road somehow. But like I mentioned, I did completely forget about decorating the entrance area that we worked on previously. So right now I'm just kind of finishing off this area, and it looked really great, but then I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, I have to finish the entrance. So here I am going back to finish the entrance after I already recorded the final clips for the final part of this video. So
Try being an influencer for a day.
like I went over to this area and I'm like, oh, that's right, I forgot. This has to be built. So I'm just kind of mimicking what I did for my entrance video here, where I'm using like the tall white vertical fencing, and I'm really just adding to this little tiny section because there's really not much else that I can do. I did add these additional barrels that weren't here before, and now I'm just kind of completing this area. And what's better than just adding a little chair and a drink, because why not? Like, just, we're keeping it simple. We're keeping it simple here. But yeah, that is all for today's video. We are getting really close to finishing this island. Like I said, probably only 2 more videos left for me to record. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you did. Turn on channel notifications so you're notified of when I upload. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the final walkthrough, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys!